Um, Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and I see some of our little friends in our midst, the little boys and girls who are here. Thank you everybody for coming to this this afternoon's program on SDP's education policy launch. Please excuse my voice because I've been having a sore throat, so do bear with me for the next few minutes. For little friends here, if you're hungry, if you're thirsty, there's some food outside, so please feel free to go out and have some little makan, okay? Now, those of us who have been through our education system, or those of you who have children who are going through our education system, know very well how very pressurizing it is, how academic-driven this entire system is. And I know, and there are a myriad of challenges in our education system, both primary and secondary here in Singapore. And I know this too full well because I was a teacher with a secondary school some years ago, and I was a teacher for more than a dozen years here. So I know these challenges rather intimately. Now, one of the first challenges in our current system is that our system focuses too much on cognitive development to the detriment of physical and socio-emotional development. Students here are mugging merely for grades, not because they want to learn or to broaden their minds. So what is the SDP's proposed alternative for this? We need to cultivate creative minds. We need to help students to want to learn. And how do we cultivate creative minds? We build confidence in our students. Now, if you've heard some of our local kids speak, and you juxtapose this with some kids from the more Western cultures where education is more all-encompassing, you can see that our kids are less confident, they're more nervous, and they have their views are very limited. Now, we want our kids to be able to think more broadly, creatively, and if you will, independently. So teachers, to help build confidence, teachers must be able to train to help them adopt an attitude of independent thinking, willingness to make mistakes, learn from them, not just to make mistakes, but to learn from these mistakes. And I always tell the students when they were in my class, go ahead, make the mistakes, but what's important is that you learn from those mistakes. And then also to persevere in the face of failed attempts. We also have to identify the students' strengths and interests. We must expose our kids to the arts and humanities, for each student to explore their love for the various subjects and disciplines. And it can only happen when they develop a passion for these areas that they're good at and develop their creative potential. We also got to develop their creative skills by encouraging students to ask questions rather than say, I'm talking, all right, don't ask questions. And you know, those of us who grew up in primary school, we know that very well, right? Teachers discouraged us from asking questions. We also will discourage punitive action and criticism for making mistakes. And we want teachers to facilitate discussions of ideas and possibilities among students and to help them think critically. The next challenge. Now, streaming at the age of 12, that's at PSLE, is too early, and this puts too much pressure on the children. Now, those of you who have children who have done the PSLE or children who are going to do PSLE know that the PSLE, 12 years old, primary 6, very important year. Because it's through that one sitting that will determine whether your child goes to normal tech, express, or normal academic. That one sitting of what? Over 4 days. Now, you train the child for 6 years, and then their future in the secondary school is determined by that one exam. Now, honestly, it does not make sense. So what is the SDP's proposal, the alternative? Now, this may sound a little radical, but we say, remove the PSLE. There's no benefit by insisting on assessing the abilities and talents of primary school children from one single exam at the end of 6 years. Okay? Now, major study conducted by the OECD showed that the early classification of students according to the ability has negative impact on students assigned to lower tracks. The study also concludes that streaming should be deferred to upper secondary education. So we recommend that streaming be done at a later stage. Challenge number 3. Now, our curriculum is too intense and too result-oriented. You know, our exams are based on at primary level, 4 academic subjects: English, Chinese, mother tongue rather, science and maths. And if you do one subject poorly in your PSLE, that brings down the entire T-score, raw score, whatever score. And that just brings it down totally, and then your fate is determined by that one score. Now, it exacts an enormous toll on the psychological and well-being, physical well-being of the children. Drilling primary school students on complex high levels of language, science, maths content provides malformed education. What do we mean? Now, this results in that while these students are well-versed in these 4 subjects, or semi-well-versed, they are ill-equipped at interacting with their peers, collaborating with their peers, and expressing themselves. So the other developmental aspects of the child is ignored. Now, high-intensity curriculum forces teachers to complete the material at a fast pace, often resulting in students being unable to understand and digest material. Now, how many of your kids have had to stay back because the teacher couldn't finish the syllabus on time? So what, they have enrichment classes after school, they have remedial classes after school, and they make the kids stay back till what, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. Now, what's the SDP's alternative to this? We recommend that we broaden the curriculum, or the curricula in plural, and reduce the syllabi. So what we mean is that, so what we propose is to have a national board for curriculum oversight comprising of educationalists, principals, teachers, and psychologists who will establish, who will review the current curriculum offered in schools. We will also introduce a wider range of subjects, allocating more time for music appreciation, speech and drama, literature, art, and physical education. Now, we know some of these subjects are already offered in school. Music, you have it, 1 period a week. PE, you have it twice a week. And literature, at secondary 3 and 4 level, most secondary schools ask their students to drop that subject because they don't generally, Singaporean students don't do well in lit. And so I know of secondary school, upper secondary school schools that encourage their kids to drop the subject because you're not going to score. And if you're not going to score, that's going to affect your L1, R5, your O levels, basically. Now, we also want to introduce regular periods. We want regular periods to be set aside for students to collaborate and interact and have interactive activities, so that it's not just academically focused. Challenge number 4. Students in Singapore are trained to be textbook smart. So they read, all they do is read from the textbook, study their textbooks in order to pass exams. Reading for pleasure is not cultivated. How many, you know, when I take the MRT or the bus, how many times do you see kids taking out their storybooks to read in the MRT? Hardly. Everyone, even adults. Everyone is on their iPod, not iPod, no more iPods, iPad or their phones and playing games. Very few Singaporeans generally don't have this reading culture. So what is our alternative? Well, we want to encourage reading. The present system extinguishes our students' desire to learn and to explore. Our students develop this aversion for books because they associate that with exams. Now, we all know the benefits of reading and how much it can really enrich our lives. So students really should be encouraged to read. Now, in order to do this, okay, we propose that workload in schools or primary school children to be reduced, to make time for voluntary reading. right? Schools, we recommend that schools set time for students to read books that are borrowed from the library. And we also recommend that the NLB, the National Library Board, in collaboration with the MOE, make books available in the school library so that it makes borrowing books easy. All right? We want also the NLB to make regular visits. So NLB must work closely with the schools to give talks to the school students to encourage them to read. Challenge number 5. Our students are saddled with too much homework. Those of you who have kids, you have nieces, nephews, you know how much homework they have got to do after school. They have really little time for anything else except perhaps play computer games. So what is the alternative? What is the SDP's alternative? First of all, lengthen school hours. You must be thinking, what? Don't our kids spend enough time in school? So, but before you think that, okay, the SDP proposes that we have our school hours from 8 till 4. And during this time, students are to complete their assignments in school so that they take nothing home to do. So that after 4, they've completed all the assignments, whatever they're supposed to do, it's related to schoolwork. And after that, they are free. They're free to read, they're free to go out with their parents, free just to be children. Challenge number 6. Students from lower income families suffer from poor nutrition, which affects their mental health, psychological, physical, and socio-emotional health. Now the SDP proposes that lunch be provided by schools. Free lunch to be provided by schools. And we will involve nutritionists, dietitians to make sure that the meals that are offered are not the lap lap chop chop, but really nutritious meals. Current challenge number 6. Now, as Wai Fang had pointed out just now, current class size is too large for students to get quality attention. Now, 2 years ago, our Minister of Education, he said that it is the quality of teachers that matters, not class sizes. He added that Singapore's overall pupil-teacher ratio is not unfavorable. Now, you don't need rocket scientists or researchers to tell you that class size does matter. If the teacher wants to give the kids quality attention, quality monitoring, your class size cannot be 1 to 40. But in case you're not convinced that class size does matter, and you want some research or some statistics, let me quote you some behavioral scientists from the University of London. They found that smaller sizes, and this is research, this is not just anecdotal, this is research, that smaller class sizes can benefit all pupils in terms of individual active attention from teachers, and that lower attaining pupils, in particular, lower attaining, can benefit from small classes. If Minister Heng is right, and small classes and size does not matter, why is it that our GEP program classes have an average of 20 pupils per teacher in class? And these are gifted students who are supposedly be able to think more independently, and yet their class sizes is 1 to 20, as opposed to ordinary classes 1 to 40. I've had a class whereby I have 42 kids in my class. So it's really unrealistic. It places unrealistic demands on the teacher to monitor 40 students. And that's just not in class, because when you mark scripts, exam scripts, that's that number you have to mark, and that's 1 class. If you're given 2 classes, that's 40. 3 classes, that's 120. So what's the SDP's alternative? Reduce class size to 20. It is not radical. It is not unthinkable. Now, teachers will then be able to provide students with the necessary attention to help them, and also With small class sizes, slower students can be helped. And with less students, there will be less admin work for teachers. Now we know that teaching is not just teaching class. There's a whole lot of admin work that you've got to do after class. And that includes some heading some CCAs. Next challenge. The constant change of teachers makes it hard for students to capitalize on their strengths and minimize their weakness. What we mean is that every year, right, a new form teacher comes and you're taught by a new teacher. Now, if every year their teachers rotate, okay, they don't get to know the students too well, it's hard to capitalize on their strengths or minimize their weaknesses. So the SDP has come up with this system called the Dedicated Teacher System. Now, what do we mean by that? We will assign a teacher to a class, and that same teacher will take the class for 3 years. A set of 3 years, which means that the same teacher will teach from primary 1 to primary 3. Right? So this set of kids stay with this teacher for 3 years. Now this allows students to build bonding with not just each other, but with the teacher. Students with better results will also be able to help their weaker peers. Teachers will have more time to understand their students and help nurture their development. The next challenge, ranking and banding. I remember ranking came about when I was still teaching in school, and that brought about quite a lot of furor. It was new, and ranking then put a lot of pressure on the schools to up their academic results, so make sure that your O-level students have 95% passes and so on and so forth. I remember because it put a lot of pressure on us. So now ranking and banding measures only a very narrow definition of intelligence, and that's academic intelligence. That's the only thing it measures. Your math, your science, your lit, your history, basically your academic subjects. Students who are ranked in weaker classes, banded in weaker classes, tend to see themselves as inferior. Okay, if I'm put into when we were kids, we had A, B, C class, right? And if you put in a C class, A was the best. If you put in C class, you tend to think yourself as the step-daughter, the step-son, the step-student of the school. Being, well, not so smart, right? And that becomes also self-fulfilling prophecy. You think that the school thinks I'm not so smart, so I'm also nurtured to think that way. And the ranking, another problem with the ranking and banding system is that schools that are already good are given more resources and better teachers. That's just the fact. Right? You get your scholars channeled to your Nanyang Girls schools and your SCGSs and so on and so forth. Ranking serves to create unnecessary and unhealthy competition among students. And it also creates an elitist outlook and attitude, don't you think? I mean, schools now think, oh yeah, I'm from SCGS or MGS, and then if you're from some a neighborhood school, you're probably a bit less forthcoming to tell people what school you're from. So what's the SDP's alternative? Do away with school ranking, do away with class ranking. We propose that students be randomly assigned to classes at primary 1. So no more all the good ones, in one class and so on and so forth. And they stay in the same class till primary 6. Now, next challenge. Now, Singapore views the teaching profession as something somewhat lower status than compared to lawyers, doctors, and engineers. Yeah. Personally, I know that. And teachers often cite poor and stressful working conditions as a hindrance to progress in the profession. So what's the alternative? Upgrade teacher status and training. How do we do that? We will ensure that teachers are not just competent in teaching the subjects that they specialize in, but they also are well-versed in motivational skills and counseling and social intervention. you know of teachers who go in and they're very good at that. They know their topic very well. They go in and they rattle off and they teach you. But if you can't motivate the students, if you can't make them realize, why is it important to learn maths? Why is it important to learn science? This is going to be lost on students. Because, what's the point? Because when I was in secondary school, history, why would I want to learn about Attila the Hun? Why do I want to learn about the Qing dynasty? But now I understand why is it so important to learn history. So when teachers rattle off and they don't motivate you, don't tell you why it's important to learn, it's just lost on you. We recommend that the teachers be highly qualified here and to possess a postgraduate degree. We also ask that the administrative duties of teachers be reviewed and that administration be kept to a minimum so that they can focus on the holistic development of students. And we also suggested to upgrade pre-service and in-service training for teachers. And assign qualified psychologists for every school. You know, teachers spend so much time disciplining kids. And I think, as a teacher, I spent a lot of time counseling kids after school, if not punishing them. And that really took away the joy of teaching. It zapped my energy, and I can say that for many of my ex-colleagues. It took away a lot of our energy, right? Disciplining students and counseling, and that's why psychologists on hand to help us. The next current challenge. Our school curriculum is too rigid, too narrow, right? As we've highlighted, our current system does little to help in the other developmental aspects of children. So what's the alternative? We ask that we want to reinstate aptitude testing. I believe that in the 1970s, up to mid-1970s, there was aptitude testing in schools. Now the SDP wants to bring this back, and we want the secondary school pupils to sit for aptitude tests. Now aptitude test is to test an individual's inclination towards a certain kind of task. It is different from the cognitive ability, and it comprises of different characteristics or facets of intelligence. As we know, cognitive intelligence is but one kind of intelligence. There are other kinds of intelligence, like emotional intelligence. So, now based on their aptitude scores, then we channel students to classes to capitalize their strengths when they enter Sec 3. So instead of just sitting for the PSLE that decides whether they go normal tech, normal ACAD, or normal express, we replace this with an aptitude test at Sec 2. Next current challenge. Secondary school ranking pressures schools to focus on academic performance. I mentioned a little bit about ranking, and we recommend that we do entirely away with ranking. And instead of ranking, what we do is we organize secondary schools according to their strengths. And we put these schools in clusters. For example, okay, we may have this school that's very good, whose strength is in, say, dance, right? And then we put them, and that is where their strength, and then we organize clusters where one school may be very good in dance, another one in music, another one in art, and then what happens? Each cluster of schools will offer subjects that complement each other. And then, and secondary school students will then have a greater choice of subjects and can take subjects that are not even offered in that school. So if I'm in a school that doesn't offer dance, but I'm really keen and I'm quite good at dance, I can go to another school in my cluster that offers dance. Last current challenge that we have identified. Now, contact between teachers and parents is minimal and perfunctory. We see the form teachers saw parents maybe once a year, mid-year, to tell the parents how well or how not well the child is performing. And that, if you're lucky, if the parent is lucky, they have 10 minutes with the teacher. If not, it's 3 minutes, and that's just once a year. So there's really contact between parents and teachers very minimal. What's the alternative? we want to involve parents in the education of the kids. And this involvement to be facilitated by psychologists, teachers, and other MOE-led programs. We want parents to help nurture their child's potential and strengths, and to build up trust and cooperation between teachers and parents, right? Usually parents get called up only because your child does something wrong. How many of teachers call up parents and say, hey, invite the parents to have a meeting with them just to tell them how well the child is performing? No, when you get called up in school, it's usually because your child does something wrong. Parents should be consulted on programs under the Education Partnership. Now, we all know that there's this EduSafe program whereby you can use this EduSafe kitty fund, yes, whereby you can use it for enrichment courses. Now, very often the school doesn't consult parents on these courses, and they just engage them and then use your EduSafe funds. Now, we want parents to be consulted in this case. Activities done under the CIP. Now, you all know that secondary school students have to do this compulsory community involvement program. And often again, parents are not consulted about these programs. So we want CIP objectives to be clearly spelled out to parents, and for parents to know exactly what will be achieved in this project. We want CIP program also to be on a voluntary basis instead of students being coerced into doing so. Now, in conclusion, the MOE started with this Teach Less and Learn More campaign in 2006, creating this impression that government understands the need for a more holistic approach to education. Despite that apparent change, the current system is still outdated and does not serve the needs of our children, both present and future. Now, just by tweaking the PSLE system will not change anything. We need a new paradigm shift as far as our education system is concerned. The changing world demands it, and Singapore will be the poorer for it if we continue to resist the urgent necessity to change how we educate our kids. And this is why the SDP has come up with this education policy paper that aims for a change that is genuinely holistic in helping the development of our students. Thank you.